Hi everyone, this is Karthik. Today we are going to discuss about JavaScript Essentials. In this session, we are going to discuss the fundamental stuff for JavaScript like the primitive types available in JavaScript, the complex type, arrays, function. Under the function, we'll discuss about the named function, self-invoking function, anonymous function, callback function, constructor function, closures, modules, and we'll see the various way to call a function with the help of call and apply methods. And finally, we'll discuss about how to work with inheritance in JavaScript with the help of prototypal inheritance. This session will be completely demonstrated with the help of Google Chrome developer tools to make you understand the fundamentals of JavaScript in an easier way. Along with that, you will be learning how to use Google Chrome developer tools. So let me open the Google Chrome. I'm using the latest version of Google Chrome here. Let me open the developer tools. To open the developer tools in Google Chrome, we need to press F12, that is the function key. When I press F12, you can see that the developer tool is open. In the developer tools, we have various tabs like element, console, sources, network, timeline, profile, resources, etc. We'll discuss this each and every tab in detail, might be in the later session. As of now, we are going to use this console tab. In the console tab, we can directly type our JavaScript code and we can execute that and we can see the output in this console window itself. We are going to complete the entire JavaScript essential by using this developer tool console screen. The first topic that we are going to discuss in our JavaScript essentials is primitive types. Like other programming languages, for instance in C# or else let me take Java, we have the primitive types. So same way JavaScript also has 5 primitive types. They are number, boolean, string, undefined and null. First, let me discuss about the number type. In JavaScript, like other programming languages, we don't have the data type called int, float, short, etc. All the data, if I provide the data in the numerals, all the numerals will be considered as a number type. That is, for instance, 43 is also a number. The negative value 65 is also a number. 45 point or 54.7677, that is a whole number or a real number, it's of number type. Then in the boolean we have two values can be provided, one is false, another one is true. Then the another important primary type is this string. In JavaScript there is no concept called character. Everything, it's a character array here, that is a string. The string can be represented or provided within the single quotes or else within the double quotes. Then we have two special types called undefined and null. The interesting part in JavaScript is there is no need to declare the variable like other programming language, but as a best practice, you are supposed to declare the variable with the help of var keyword. So when we declare a variable with the var keyword, especially inside a function, it specifies that variable scope lies only within that function. That is, it is local to that particular function alone. if you create any variable inside the function without the var keyword, then it will be attached to the global object. So as a best practice, try to provide or create the variable with the help of the var keyword. Now I am creating a variable called var followed by a variable called un. If you look at this variable un is not defined with any value, then the type will be considered as undefined. And finally we have the null. For instance, I can just create a variable called nu. Okay, as of now it is not pointing to anything, but I can specify it with the null value. But the important difference between this undefined and null is here the variable is defined with some value, whereas this variable is totally undefined. That is, it is nowhere, it cannot be accessed at all. We can check all those stuff now with the help of the Google Chrome. Okay, I switch back my window to Google Chrome here. In JavaScript, we have a very important keyword called typeof, which is used to retrieve the type of the given data. Okay, for instance, if I say get the type of a number, I'm just giving a number, you should see that 1 is of number type. Okay, what about type of false? It is of Boolean type. What about the data Karthik within double quotes? It is of string type. Okay, so these are the three primary types. Now I'm creating a variable called un. Okay, this is a variable which is not assigned with any value. So when I type enter, you should see that when I go ahead with type of un, you should see it is undefined. Undefined in the sense it is not defined with any value. Whereas if I specify some value like data given, if you see the type of un, it is no more undefined, it's going to be string. Why? Because that variable is pointing to the string type. In JavaScript, we have one more special type, that is null. That is any variable. For instance, I'm just saying nu, I can assign it with null. In JavaScript, it is a primary type. It is not a complex type. But when you try to type with the help of type of, let me get the type of this nu, it won't return null. Instead of that, it will say it is an object. So you might tend to misinterpret that, okay, it's a primitive type, how come it can be an object? So I can say that this is actually a bug in the JavaScript. Still it is maintained only for the reason of backward compatibility. But in JavaScript, we have 5 primitive types. In that we have 3 primary types. The 3 primary types are where n equal to 5, whereas this n is a number type because the variable n is pointing towards a number type, where b equal to false, whereas here b equal to false. False in the sense this b is of Boolean type. Then where str equal to, if I provide the data within single quote as well, this str is of string type. These are the 3 primary types. And we have 2 special types. They are undefined and null. If any variable declared but it is not defined with any value, then it is considered as undefined. And finally, when I create any variable which is pointing towards null, it means that it is not pointing to anything but the variable is defined. Okay, for example, when I say where nu equal to null, okay, when I say type of nu, it won't return null. Instead of that, it will return object, but it is not pointing to anything. Whereas when I say where unu, this is a variable which is not declared or defined, sorry, which is not defined with any value, so it's going to be undefined. So these are the 5 important primitive types available in the JavaScript. Okay. So I have typed it here. That is, if I say type of 1, it's going to return number. If it is type of false, it's going to be boolean, and type of Karthik, either within single quote or double quote, it's going to return a string. Okay. In JavaScript, we have a very important operator which is called as strict comparison operator. So what is the strict comparison operator? Means we'll be having 3 equal to simple. So what is this strict comparison operator? In which scenario it will be very useful for us? Let me see that. So the strict comparison operator is used to check the data along with its, check the value along with its data type. Means JavaScript is a loosely typed programming language. That is, we have a number type here and we have a string type here. Okay, we have a number type and we have a string type. When I try to enter this in the console mode, for your information, it won't give false because this is a number and this is a string. But unfortunately, it will say true. I'll just show that to you. See here. Whether 4 equals 4, it says true because it is a loosely typed programming language. I want to compare the value along with its data type. In the sense, we need to go ahead with the strict comparison operator. So here the strict comparison operator, if I provide like this, it will say false. Why? Because number is not equal to a string type. Okay. So now you got a clear understanding of the JavaScript primitive types. It has 5 types. Okay. We have one complex type as well. That is nothing but an object. The object, like other programming language, this is the base type. All the types are derived from this type in JavaScript. So let me see how to create a complex type. That is, we are going to create an object. So to create an object, it is super easy. We can just simply create an object like this, like where followed by a variable. Now this variable is not pointing to anything. If it points to 8, then this foo type is number. Whereas if it is pointing to an object, the object can be represented with the help of a pair of curly braces. In that pair of curly braces, we can provide the properties and its value. So here the properties can be provided with the help of key and value pair. That is, this complex type can also be called as associative array. Associative array. That is, it supports the hashing concept. Means I can work with the key and value pair. For instance, so we have a foo. In this foo, I'm just going to have A. A is going to be the key and it's going to point to a data of number type. And B is going to be a key which is going to point to a data of Boolean type. And C is going to be a key which is going to point to a string called Bangalore. Okay, so this is an object. A, B and C are the keys, whereas 1, false and Bangalore, they are all called as values. Now let me copy this and put it into our Google Chrome and press enter. You can see foo is an object. It has 3 keys in that. Now how to access this? So we can access the object values with the help of the key using either a dot notation or else you can use the square bracket notation. Okay, let me see that. For example, I want to access the value of A. We can go ahead either with foo.a or else foo the square bracket notation. Provide the key, I can get the value. And in fact, we can modify the value in both the ways. For instance, foo.a, instead of 1, now I'm changing it to 2. Okay, so when I type foo, you should see that the value is changed. Same way, we can change it with the help of the square bracket notation as well, by providing the key and assigning the value with 21. So when I type the foo, now the value has been changed. The interesting part with the objects in JavaScript is on the fly we can keep on attach the properties. For instance, I can simply go ahead and say foo.d. Okay, foo.d, I can assign a value false there. When I type foo, now this foo has 4 properties within it: A, B, C and D. Okay, how to get all the key and the value? To retrieve all the key and the value in JavaScript, we have a concept called for in loop. Let me just represent that. Foo, this is your object. I want to print all the keys along with its value. For that, we have a for in loop. For, I'm having one variable called k in the object. Okay, this is the for in loop. Here the k, it can be okay, to be meaningful, I'm providing where key in foo. So console.log, I want to print the key as well as I want to print the value. To print the value, we are just going with foo of key. So it will print the keys, and to get the value, foo provide that key so that I can get the value as well. When I press enter, you should see A is the key and we got the values. Okay, a very important concept, and it will be very much handy when you are working with any frameworks like Angular or Node.js. This for in loop plays a vital role. It is used to iterate the keys from the object. The one important thing you need to remember here is, like, when you are trying to work with the key, you know that the key cannot be duplicated. So all those stuff is applicable here as well. And we have a lot of other information, like I can delete the key. Okay, for example, I don't want a key called a D. We can just simply say delete. Okay, delete foo.d. That's it. Now when I type foo, you should see the key is deleted. A very handy stuff. So with the help of this for in loop, I can iterate it, and we can even delete the keys, and there are a lot of other important things are there in the working with the object properties. But for our essential things, I'm just covering up the essential stuff. Okay, I have typed it. That is the complex type. There can be called as associative array because it supports the key and value pair. Okay, so we have the key here, and these are all the values. To retrieve or modify the property, we can use either a dot notation or else a square bracket notation, but I say that this is a recommended way. Always use this square bracket notation to retrieve or modify the property. This is a recommended way. Avoid this dot notation. To iterate the keys using the for in loop, this is the way we can iterate it. We can print the value, keys and the value with the help of this for in loop, and I can attach a property on the fly. That's a very interesting feature. In JavaScript, we can on the fly attach some properties, and even I can delete a property as well. Now let me just see another important type called arrays. So array is a linear collection of elements grouped under similar data type. So JavaScript is a loosely typed programming or scripting language. We cannot make that happen, or it is not a strict type. It won't enforce you. Like array, you all know it's of similar data type. What will happen if I provide array with different data types in JavaScript? Yes, it will accept. So it is a responsibility is given to the developer or whoever writing the code. You need to understand that array is a linear collection of elements of similar data type. So you are supposed to provide the values in the array of same type. But JavaScript doesn't know, because it is a loosely typed stuff. For example, in JavaScript, if I want to create the arrays, it's very simple. We need to say where numbers equal to, it's an array. I'm having some data here. If you look at this, they are all numbers type. So this we need to ensure. if I provide false, JavaScript doesn't throw any error because it is a loosely typed programming language. But anyway, I'm having some data here. Okay, so copy this. Let me create the array here. We have created the array. So in the numbers, we have the value, and the way to access same thing, it is zero based index. I can go ahead and say numbers of 0. Okay, I can retrieve any value, and there is a property in fact called numbers.length. So there are 4 items in the array that can be retrieved with the help of numbers.length. And there are a lot of functions available in the array. The first function is push. So when I say numbers.push, it is used to add the items to the array, that is last item to the array. When I say 7, it will be pushed and it returns the number of items in the array. If I type numbers, you should see it has the 7 within it. And if I want to delete numbers.pop, so it is used to remove the last item from the array. So when I type numbers now 7 has been removed. So how to delete a number from the specific location? For example, I want to delete this 65. That is simple. What we need to do is first we need to get the index position of that. Let me get the index position, numbers.index of. This is a function which is available in the array. I'm just asking give me the index position of 65. It is 1. Okay, and we have a function called numbers.splice. It is used to splice the details or data from the array. So I want to remove this 65. So let me provide the index position. How to get the index position? Numbers.index of 65. We got that index position from there. That is from here. I want to delete how many items we need to specify. I want to delete only 1. If I say 2, then it will delete 65 and 46, but only 1. So we can delete the item. Now if I see the numbers, you should see the 65 is removed. And we have the functions called numbers.sort. Okay, it is sorted in ascending order. And similarly, I can just reverse it with the help of the reverse function. Okay, it is in the reverse order. Is it clear? So these are all some of the important functions in the array of your JavaScript. So I copied it. Let me paste it here. You can go through this. I'll be sharing this file also, or is probably I'll be giving the URL to you when after uploading this video. Okay. So we have the arrays. So in the same way, we can work with any types in JavaScript. I can just simply create a string type where str equal to, I have provided my name here. Okay, I can just ask str.length, I want to convert it to capital letter, to uppercase, str.to lowercase. So we have a lot of functions. We can just simply use this developer tool to get all the methods, and we can just start practicing. Not only with the string type, in fact we can use the date, math, all the stuff. For instance, if I want to work with math, we can just type math.pow, intelligence will be available. So see here, when I say type .p, it shows that to complete that intelligence, just press tab key, and I want to find the power, 2 power 3, it is 8. So like this we can go ahead with all the inbuilt JavaScript using our Google Chrome developer tools. It supports IntelliSense as well. So same thing is applicable in your Mozilla Firefox as well, but I'm very much comfortable with the Google Chrome, and I recommend you all to use this Google Chrome because it is very much comfortable for all the developers. So all over the world people are using Google Chrome developer tools to work with or just to debug, and lot of things it supports. Now we are in a very important concept, that is function. In JavaScript, function plays a very vital role. In order to master JavaScript, I can say that you need to master functions first. So under the function category, I have provided a lot of functions here. The first function we are going to see here is the named function. Okay, let me start that. So to work with the named function, that's very simple. I'm creating a variable where, okay, variable name is say hi. If this variable is pointing to a number, then say hi is a number type. Whereas if it is pointing to a function, then it is a function type. In JavaScript, we have a type. Function is also a type. For instance, I can ask type of say hi. It says that it is a function. In JavaScript, function is also a type. Remember that. Okay. So we can just simply say where say hi. In this the variable is pointing to a function. Let me just say console.log, just simply typing hi Karthik, semicolon. And in our developer tool, to have multi-line, you need to press shift enter. Don't simply press enter. If I press enter, it will execute it. If I say shift enter, it will allow you to have multiple lines. So when I type this, a variable say hi is pointing to a function, then this function can be invoked like this. I'm invoking the function. This is one way. Okay, so copy this and I'm pasting it under the named function category. So we have this say hi, and let me invoke the function. To invoke it, we need to invoke it like this. This is one way of named function. Why it is named function? Simple. The function is having a name. Okay, there is another way to write the same code. I'm typing it in this way. Function say hi. Console.log hi. Enter. Let me invoke it. So the important thing to note here is this particular functions. So whenever you create any function, please try to create it with camel case, not Pascal case. If any function starts with the capital letter, it has a different meaning. I'll explain that concept later. As of now, this is a named function. Why it is named? Because it is having a name. That's why it is called as named function. A function with a name is called as a named function. I'm invoking it once again with this option. So I hope you all understood the name function. The next function we are going to see here is self-invoking function. So self-invoking function means, if you see, we have created the function. After creating it, we have invoked it on our own by calling it explicitly. If I want to invoke the function on its own, it needs to invoke by itself. How to do that? Simple. Create the parameters like this. In this, the first parameter, it's going to be a function itself. I'm just calling say hi. If you look at this syntax, so this is the function. Okay, this function is provided as an argument and I'm invoking it. So when I type console.log hi, when I press enter, the function will get automatically invoked by itself. No need to give a explicit call. I hope you all understood this. This is called as self-invoking function. A function gets invoked by itself is called as self-invoking function. Okay, fine. This function doesn't have any arguments. What will happen if suppose a function is having an argument? For instance, let me just say this is a function called add, which takes two arguments. Okay, and in the console even I can return it back if you want. Let me just simply print it here. I'm just giving addition equal to like C we can use this %d, okay, as a placeholder there, and I'm just simply saying a plus b. Now I need to pass the value for a and b. How can I pass it? Here in the invoking place I'm giving 4 and 5. So you should see that addition equal to 9. So copy this, paste it. So I've just shown you how to work with the self-invoking function, a function without parameter and with parameter. Next is anonymous function. So what is this anonymous function? It's too simple. Copy. I'm pasting it once again here. A function without a name. A function without a name is called as anonymous function. And this anonymous function will be very much handy when you're working with the handlers, especially the click handlers. I want to pass function as an argument. At that time, this particular stuff will be very handy for us. So I'm copying this. So this function doesn't have a name, and it is moreover it's a self-invoking. When I press enter, the function will be get invoked by itself. Okay. So when we can use this anonymous function means only if that particular function is passed as an argument, it can be used. So this is anonymous function. The next function we are going to see here is the nested function. So what is this nested function? Nested function is a function inside another function is called as a nested function. So let me just try this out. For example, I'm creating a function here called add. Add is a function. Okay. So this function is going to take one argument, that is a. And this function can return anything. What are all the stuff it can return? It can return a number, it can return a boolean, it can return a string, it can return an array, it can return an object. It can return anything. But now what we are going to do, we are going to return a function itself. A function returns another function. Okay, a very handy stuff, especially when you are working with AngularJS. This is a important concept. A function returns another function. Yes, it is possible. And you all know, since you are all from the programming background, so the scope of this A lies only within this entire function. It cannot be accessible outside. And similarly, this function is going to return another function. That function is going to take another argument called B. Now you all know A can be accessible here. A can be accessible here, and B also can be accessible here, but whereas B cannot be accessible here because the scope ends only within that particular function. So I'm just saying return A plus B. So see this, a function returns another function here. Okay, so how to invoke it? To invoke it, we need to say add 5. If I call this function is going to return another function. So that function I want to invoke. Let me provide 6. A very interesting part. Okay, a function returns another function. So let me just copy this nested function stuff, paste it, tap, and to invoke this function we need to say add of 5 and 6. This is a way to invoke it. Okay, so before moving into this callback function, I'll make it clear there is one more important concept called variable scope. The scope of the variable. In JavaScript, if any variable is created inside a function, I'm just creating a normal function where data equal to height. In JavaScript, any variable declared inside the function with var keyword is called as local variable. Means this variable cannot be accessible once the function is exited, or the scope is only within that particular function. We cannot access it outside. Once the function is exited, it will be garbage collected. Whereas if I say or declare a variable without the var keyword, especially inside a function, then it will be attached to the global object. That is, since we are in the browser, window is going to be the global object. Okay, so this is a global variable. If instead of saying global variable, I can say it gets attached to the global scope. Okay, here it will be attached to the window object. That is, when I invoke this sample, since a sample is invoked, if it is provided with var keyword, we cannot access it at all. But since it is not provided with the var keyword, it will be attached to the window object, so I can access it with window.data, or else simply data. No need to say window. It is attached to the window object. A very important concept. Any variable inside the function without the var keyword, it will be always attached to the global scope. Okay, remember this is important stuff. Okay, next one is the callback function. So what is this callback function? So before moving into this callback function, in JavaScript itself we have a very interesting part called a callback function. Like we have set timeout is there. I'll explain that set timeout here. So we have this set timeout. So the set timeout is actually a function which takes another function as an argument. It takes two arguments. The first argument is nothing but the function that we are going to invoke. Okay. Second argument is going to be the number of milliseconds. I want to call it this function, this particular variable. This variable should compulsorily point to a function because it takes the function type as a first argument. Here I am using the anonymous function. I am having anonymous function. I am just simply saying alert 1 second over. Okay, instead of 1 second, let me just say 3000 milliseconds. 3 seconds over. So when I press enter, you can see that after 3 seconds, you should get a pop-up or an alert box. Okay, so this is a inbuilt function which takes the function as an argument. So this is the callback function. So understanding the callback function is very important thing. Okay, why it is important? Let me see. With an example, I'm going to create a function called sample. Okay, let me clear the console history. So we have a sample function here. In the sample function, I'm going to have three statements. First one, console.log 1. Then second one, I'm having a set timeout. So in this set timeout, you all know it takes two arguments. The first argument is a function. Second argument is the number, which is nothing but a millisecond. I'm just giving 0. 0 means within 0 millisecond it needs to execute the callback function which is provided here. Okay, I'm just typing console.log 2. So then I'm having console.log 3. So if you look at this function, that is when the sample function is invoked. Okay, when I invoke the sample function, sample invoke and press enter. So you all expect the output like this, that is 1. Okay, it will execute that in 0 milliseconds. It's going to execute that callback, and the 2 will be printed, then 3 if you are from the programming background like Java or C#. But unfortunately the output is not like that. Output is totally different. That is, the program when it executes, it will execute this first line 1. Whenever it sees a callback function, when this line is getting executed, it knows that there is a callback function. It will place this callback function into a callback queue. Okay, it will place that callback function into a callback queue and proceed with the next line. Okay, that is, it will print 1, then 3, then there is no other lines to get executed from the stack. So it will just look into the callback queue. In the callback queue, yes, we have a function. It will take that function, it will start executing it. So the output is going to be 1, 3, then 2. 1, 3 and 2. So there is no, what is it like, guarantee that since I provided 0 millisecond it needs to be get executed quickly. If suppose I'm having 40 lines in the sample function, it will execute all the 40 lines, then only it will look into the callback queue. A very important concept. As a developer you are supposed to know this. So let me copy this for one more example. So when you invoke this sample function, you all know the output is 1, 3, then 2. Okay, now we have seen a lot of callback. Let me see one more interesting stuff. That is, I'm going to pass function as an argument. Okay, I'm creating a function called print. It's going to take a variable called data. Whatever data we are going to provide, I just want to print that data given followed by, okay, I can use the concatenation operator and let me print it. It's a very simple straightforward function which takes a data, whatever data we are going to pass as an argument, it's going to print it. Nothing special here. For example, if I say print, I pass the data Karthik, so it's saying data given Karthik. Okay, this is what my function, a very simple function. But see that the important thing, the interesting part I can say, I'm creating a function called sample, and this sample function is having some data, okay, or MSG, some message from sample function. So if you look at this, you all know inside a function, if any variable declared with a var keyword, the scope of the variable will be only within that function. We cannot access it outside. Once a function is exited, the scope is gone. But see the interesting part, now I'm going to take one argument. Okay, that argument is nothing but, as of now, that argument can be anything. It can be a number, but see this line, CB pass this MSG. So it is very clear that the argument that you are going to pass, it's going to be of function type. Okay, so my function is ready. This is the interesting part. I'm going to call sample. In the place of CB, I'm just going to, already we have created this print function, right? So I'm just giving the reference of that. Okay, I have given the reference of that. So for your information, I'll just show the print function as well here itself. This is what the print function. Okay, now see that I'm giving sample or invoking the sample by giving the reference print. So if I give the print here, the CB and print both are pointing to this function. So if I pass CB of message, this is the message. So that will be assigned to the data, and as a result you should see data given message from the sample function. A very important one. Okay, this is the way we can pass the function as an argument and retrieve the value available in this. In AngularJS we have a concept called promises, and especially there is a concept called the deferred execution. So for all those things, this is a very key concept to understand that particular stuff. So copy this. Okay, so to invoke it, sample, just give the reference. Don't invoke it. This is invoking. This is just reference. I have given the reference here. Now we are going to see another important function that is called as constructor function. So what is this constructor function? Why it is very much required? First, let me try to understand that. In JavaScript, you all know how to create a object literal. Very simple. For example, if I create a employee object, okay, ID is 100, name is Karthik. So it is a object, right? Directly instance. Like our programming language, Java, C Sharp, we used to create classes. Okay, so class is actually a template or a blueprint or a specification. Based on that specification, I can create the instances. But if you see in JavaScript, it is direct object. Okay, it is directly it's creating an object. If I want to create another object, once again I need to create ID, name, and all those stuff. So is there any opportunity for us available in JavaScript to just create a specification kind of stuff first, then we can create multiple instances like new employee, so it should create the object based on the specification provided. Is there any option? Means yes, it is there. That is called as constructor function. So I'm going to explain you this constructor function in a very different manner. I'll just show that to you, especially the people who are coming from Java and C Sharp background, right? They can feel it very easy, and you can easily understand what is this constructor function is all about. Okay. For instance, let me take it might be a C Sharp or else a Java. To create a class, you all know class followed by I'm creating a class called person class, and this person class will have a private variable called age and private string name. So we have two private stuff, name and age, and I want to create a constructor. That constructor is going to be a parameter constructor. So the access specifier is public, and it should have the class name. It takes two arguments, name and in age. Okay, then this dot name equal to name, and this dot age equal to age. That's it. So we have successfully created a class here. Let it be in C Sharp or else in Java. This is how we used to create the classes. Creating class in C Sharp or Java. I hope you all understood. And to create the instance, first we need to create a reference variable called person equal to new person, and we are supposed to provide the name and the age. So we have created the person object, and if I want to create one more person, yes, I can simply go ahead and say this is person 1. Like that I can create multiple instances, but only one specification. So simple. So how to create such thing in JavaScript? In JavaScript, there is no concept called classes. Creating the class concept in JavaScript. For your information, in the ECMAScript 5, as of now the version that we are learning is ECMAScript 5. In ECMAScript 5, there is no such concept called class. Okay, so let me delete that. And in JavaScript, there is no access specifier and variable declaration. So let me delete that as well. And no access specifier and no variable declaration I told. Okay, look at this. Now we have something like this. Here I can just specify function. So in JavaScript, functions are considered as the first class object. First class object means everything can be done with the help of, everything needs to be done with the help of the function alone. Even object needs to be get created with the help of the functions alone. So if you look at this, function is called as a constructor function. So the important stuff, the difference between a normal function and constructor function needs to be represented with the help of the name that we are going to provide. For instance, if you see the first letter, okay, the constructor function needs to be always in Pascal case. That's the only way to differentiate the normal function and the constructor function in JavaScript. So a person who is good in JavaScript, if he sees any function with a capital letter, they will understand that that is a constructor function. That's a naming convention you are supposed to follow. Don't try to create something like this. This is wrong. But it doesn't throw any error. So what is the advantage we are going to get here? The advantage here is I can create multiple instances. Like I can just simply say where person 1 and this is where person 2. Okay, now it's ready. Copy this. paste it, enter. So we have two person object. I have created my own objects. This is a first person object and this is a second person object, and we can access that like person1 dot name. I can get it. I hope you all understood the concept of constructor function. Okay, so this is used to create the specification, then we can go ahead and use that or create instances later. For all the constructor functions can be invoked with the help of the new keyword, just like our classical programming language. Okay, now we have seen the properties. We have attached some property. How about methods? How to attach a method? In the classes we can create functions, right? But how to do it in JavaScript? In JavaScript, you need to be very cautious in this particular area. You are not supposed to attach the properties like this. This dot, okay, get details equal to function. This is wrong. Why? Because this will be invoked for each and every instances. You are not supposed to do that. Okay, I need to save the memory. So to do that, we are always supposed to attach it to the person.prototype. So person.prototype will return the person object to us. To that person object, you can attach the get details equal to function. Function needs to be always attached like this, and in turn we can use console.log. Like I want to get the name is of string type, and I want to print the age is of number type, %t. Okay, it is not mandatory to use this percentage. Yes, if you are comfortable with the concatenation operator, yes, please go ahead and use it. In the place of percentage, yes, I'm going to use this dot name, and in this place this dot age. Okay, so look at this, copy, paste it, enter. Now I'm just going to create already I've created the person object. If you see person1, this is a person1 object. If you open that, the person object has two properties. Okay, and if you see, we have the proto, that is the base class, the object. In that object we have this function, so that for each and every instance it can directly take it from the parent type. I'll explain this in the prototypal inheritance later. Okay, so we got the person object. Now I can just simply say person1 dot get the details. We can invoke it. This is the best way. You need to always attach the functions using the person dot to the prototype of that particular constructor function. Okay, a very important stuff. Then we have closures. So what do you mean by this closure? Closures play a very vital role in the concept of encapsulating, or I want to do some data hiding work. I don't want to give the permission to the people to come and directly access the stuff. I need to give a restricted access. I want to give an interface towards them to access the data. Like in JavaScript, we cannot create a private function or private stuff. If I want to make something private, we need to go ahead with the help of the concept called closures. So I'll just show a demo in that, so that you can easily understand. I'm just going to create a function. Okay, I'm going to create a function called variable. Let me have one variable called a sample. Sample is the function. Sample is a variable, it is pointing to a function. This is a named function. In this sample function, I'm creating a variable called year, which is assigned with the value 2016. By this time, you all know that this is a local variable. The scope of the variable lies only within that function. We cannot access it once the function gets exited. Okay. In the same function, I'm creating two more variables, like print year. That's again a function which is going to print the year. I'm just saying console.log, let me print the year. Okay, you can just print it. So then I'm creating two more functions. This is increment the year. Whenever I call this function, the year needs to be incremented. Year plus plus. And you all know this year variable can be accessible anywhere inside the function. Next, I'm creating another function called setYear. So year equal to YR. So when I invoke this function, it's going to be of totally no use. Why? Because all the variables are declared with a var keyword. If I declare any variable with a var keyword, we cannot access it once the function gets exited. So instead of that, I'm just going to remove this. That's the interesting part. So if I remove that, these are all the variables, okay, inside a function without a var keyword. So it will be attached to the window scope. Okay, it will be attached to the window scope. It can be accessible even after the function gets exited. That's an interesting part. Now when I press enter, let me copy this first. Okay, when I press enter, now we have the function here. So sample, I'm invoking it. As soon as I invoke it, now everything got executed. So since it's a local variable, you cannot access it outside. But the interesting part is, since this local variable is used inside the global function, now with the help of the global function, I can access the local variable. That is, I can just simply say, call the print year function. We got the year 2016. Let me increment the year. After incrementing, once again I'm printing the year. You can see that is 2017. And I'm going to set the year 2000. After setting the year, print it. So we are provided a restricted access. I'm just providing the restricted access here. Directly they cannot access it. So we are provided some functionality, some function. It's like a private variable now. So what is this closure? It's going to provide us a restricted way to access the stuff. So now it's a closure here. I hope you all understood. Okay, let me copy this. I've copied it already. Paste it. So we need to invoke it. When I invoke it, those three functions will be attached to the global scope, that is to the window object. Since we are in the browser, if you are in the node environment, it will be attached to the global object. There is a concept called global and all those stuff. It's done. Then I can call the print here, I can call the increment here, so that I can access the local variable. Even after the function gets exited. So see here, the function got exit, but still I can access this. How? Because of this closure concept. Then comes the interesting part called modules. So what is module? Module plays a very vital role once again in JavaScript. The people from the Java or C# background, you can just compare this with if you are from the Java background, module is nothing but a package. If you are from a C# background, it's nothing but a namespace. So if I want to create, so you all know the reason for creating a package and namespace, to avoid the naming collision and to provide the logically related code together. We need to use this modules. Okay, so in the modules, it's very simple. We need to just create a concept called, first of all you need to understand there is a concept called IFI. IFI stands for immediately invoking function expression. That is called as IFI. First we need to create the IFI. So what is this IFI? So the IFI here is, I need to have, this is the syntax for that IFI. I'm having a function. The function is a self-invoking function. For instance, if I say it's returning 5, where data, if you look at this is a typical example for a IFI. So the function gets executed, whatever it's going to return, that will be assigned to this variable. So you all know what is the type of this data. Data type will be number. So let me copy this, paste it, enter. I want to know, because it is invoked, this function got invoked and it has assigned, written the 5, that 5 is assigned to this data, and when I type of data, you should see number. So this is called as IFI, immediately invoking function expression. Okay. Now what is this, how it will be related to the modules? Modules, I told that it is like a package kind of stuff which needs to be done with the help of the IFI stuff. So I'm creating a module called calculator module. Okay, I'm having a module called calculator. I need to have a IFI. IFI is this way, and it's having a function, and the function is going to, this time it's going to return an object function which is going to return some object. Now I'm having a function called add number. There are two functions are going to be there. One is add numbers. Okay, I'm just giving you another syntax here called multiply number. That's pointing to another function. Okay, so those two functions is going to take a and b. This function is going to return a plus b, and this function is going to return a multiplied by b. Okay, and you all know, as a rule, thumb of rule, these two functions cannot be accessible outside. It is private. Now you need to decide whether I want to expose it or not. So if you are planning to expose it, so this function, this is a calculator function, main function, is returning an object. In that object we can provide the key and the value pair. So we have the key called add. It's going to point to this add numbers. So I have exposed it, but I haven't exposed this multiply numbers. If you want to expose the multiply number as well, you need to just say multiply. You need to decide what functions you are going to expose to the outside world. So it's going to have this multiply numbers. Okay, I hope you all understood this now. So now we have the calculator module. This calculator module is going to have two functions, add and multiply. The interesting part here is, now I don't want to worry about the naming collision. Why? Because in JavaScript we'll be referring multiple JavaScript files, but there might be a lot of add functions will be there, multiply function will be there. For example, I just say this is Karthik module. So if I want to access this, when I press enter, we have created a module called Karthik module. So Karthik module, in turn, it's pointing to an object as of now. So what is this Karthik module? This is an object. That object has add and multiply. If I want to access the add or multiply, we need to say Karthik module dot add 45. I got that value. And similarly, multiply 45. It's going to be 20. So my functions won't be collide with other JavaScript libraries. So naming collisions can be avoided. At the same time, I have created, this cannot be a Karthik module, it should be a calculator module which needs to have the calculation stuff. I'm just logically relating all the functions together and replacing that into a module. Just like java.io will have the IO related classes and functions. So system.io from C# will have the IO related classes and functions inside that. So I'm having calculator module. The calculator module will have calculator related stuff, and moreover we cannot directly we cannot add direct we need to give the permission what are all the stuff we are going to expose it. So closure come module. So all those stuff has been explained in this demo. So let me copy this. It should be calculator module. So let me change it to calculator module. So this is with the help of IFI we are doing this. IFI stands for immediately invoking function expression. Calculator module. Just save it. Okay, so to access it, we need to say calculator module dot add 4,5. It's going to return that value. Save it. It's done. Then comes the last one, calling a function. What is this calling a function? So what's special about that? Let me see that now. Okay, I'm going to create a function here called sample, which takes two arguments, that is name and designation. And I'm just going to simply print console.log the name followed by a designation. Okay, that's a simple function. Now I want to invoke this function or to call a function. To call the to invoke the function, you can just simply say sample. This is a classical way. I'm just trying to provide Karthik trainer invoked. There are two more ways to call the function. The first one we are going to see is with the help of the call function. In the call, the first argument is nothing but the context. So which object, for example, I'll explain that when I'm moving into the inheritance stuff. So as of now, it doesn't have any context at all, but I want to pass two arguments here, that is for name and for the designation. I'll explain the first argument when I'm moving into the prototypal inheritance. So this is another way to call a function in JavaScript, and we have one more option called apply. Once again, the first argument is a context followed by second argument is nothing but the arguments which needs to be provided with the help of an array. We are just having an array here. All the argument we need to provide in the form of array. Yes. So these are three different ways you can call a function. This also plays a very vital role. Let me copy and paste it. So we have a function here. Okay, so we have the function here. I'm just calling it, invoking it a classical way, and this is with the help of the call function in JavaScript, and we have the apply function in JavaScript. So copy that, paste it. So three different ways to invoke or call a function. Then comes the final one, that is a prototypal inheritance. A very interesting part, and in fact my favorite as well. The people, almost all the whoever is working in JavaScript, they might be, if they have gone through this concept also, still they won't be having a clear idea of what is this prototypal inheritance is all about. So I'll try to explain that in a very easier way. I'll try my level best to explain it. So to start up with prototypal inheritance, you all know the programming language, once again like C# or Java, inheritance, it is based on the classes. A class derived from another class. We'll have a concept called is a relationship. For example, I can have an account class and I can create a saving account class. So saving account class needs to derive from the base class, that is account class. We need to say with the inheritance, that is with the help of is a relationship. Saving account is a account, that is a relationship. In Java we are going with the extends keyword, and in .NET we'll be using, in C# we'll be using the colon operator, so that we can derive the stuff that is there. But unlike the C# or Java, here in JavaScript the inheritance is not based on the classes, it is based on the object, or object derived from another object. Okay, it is, the object is prototype based. Okay, it is going to derive the object based on the prototypal chaining. We need to just chain up, then it will work. So to make you understand, first let me create one object here. Create an object called first. This is the first object. In the first object we are going to have two keys, 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2, we have the two keys. And I'm creating another object. Here we have 3 and 4. So if you look at this, two objects, it doesn't have any relationship at all. Okay, this object is derived directly from the object, because since it's an object there is nothing to get derived from. And similarly second is also derived from object. I'll just show that to you. Clear the console history, paste it. Okay, I want to know the parent class. So to get the parent class, we have a function object dot get the prototype of first. If you look at this, it derived from object. Okay, it's directly derived from the object. The object will have the details, all those stuff. And similarly for second as well, same thing. When I copy this, paste it, enter, object dot get the prototype of second. If I press enter, once again same thing. So the concept here is the first and the second, it is totally not related at all. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to set the prototypal chaining between this second and first. That is, second I'm going to create. I'm just going to say that if, for example, if I say as of now get the prototype of second, it says it's an object, but I just want to say it is having first as its parent. I hope you all understood. When I say get prototype of second, as of now it says object. I just want to establish the chaining in such a way that the second prototype, when I ask once again, it should say first. So how to do that? It's so simple. We have second dot underscore underscore proto underscore underscore. Okay, second dot underscore underscore proto. This is prototypal chaining. I just want to get the first object, okay, and assign it towards it. So you can say object dot create the first and assign it towards that. Now it's done. Okay, so what is the beauty here is when I ask get the second, so sorry, this is for the classes, sorry, you should say, so we need to just simply say second dot underscore underscore proto equal to directly, since it's an object we can directly specify that. So see, the interesting part is now if I ask this question, it won't say object, it's returning the first one. So what is the benefit we are going to get is using the second itself I can get the first so you can see that second, and second is having this object, so the base type is available here with the proto and we can print all those stuff. For example, I can say second dot 1, we can retrieve it. That's the beauty of it, because it derived all the properties. So this is object based inheritance. So it is simple. So we have this, I want to establish the chaining, prototypal chaining. We need to simply say second dot underscore underscore proto. By default it will be pointing to object, but now I'm going to make it pointing towards the first. Simple. Can you understand? Whereas first underscore underscore proto is going to be always an object. See that, I can show that to you. First dot, what is underscore underscore proto? That's nothing but an object. Whereas what is second dot underscore underscore proto? Hereafter, since I have pointed it, it's no more object, it is pointing towards the first object. This is the way to establish the inheritance relationship between two objects. I have just established, so I can access second dot 1 hereafter. We can access. Okay, so inheritance using properties. Inheriting the property, in fact. Inheriting the property, that would be better. So this is done. Now what about inheriting the functions? especially when you are going with the constructor function. How to do it? Let me see that. I'm creating a constructor function here called function. This is account. If you look at this, it is a Pascal case. So this account is there. Account is going to take two arguments. For example, account number, and let it be a bank name. Okay, it takes two arguments, and you all know this dot account number equal to account number. So I'm creating a constructor function, nothing special here, and this dot bank name equal to that bank name. Okay, this is my function. Okay, for instance, let me have one more thing called type. What type it is? This dot type equal to the type that we are going to provide. Okay, I want to attach one behavior towards this account. You all know, to attach a behavior, account dot, it needs to be always attached to the prototype dot get details. That's a function. So in that function, I'm just going to print console.log the account number plus this dot, I can access it, this dot account number comma bank name plus guys, the reason for typing this code is I can just copy and paste the code, but if I type it now, you'll have a clear idea. So that is my intention. So my idea here is to share the knowledge as much as I can and try my level best here. Okay, now we have the bank here. To this bank, I'm just going to say this dot bank name plus finally we have the type, what type it is, plus this dot type. So when I press enter, everything done. So this is my function. A constructor function is ready. Okay, so constructor function is ready, and I'm going to attach a function towards that, to its prototype. This is also done. So let me just check this, whether this is working properly or not. So to check that, where AC object, account object equal to new account, it should have the three things, that is 123 is going to be the account number, and let I provide the bank name, access, and the type is just account as of now. So when I say AC object dot get the details, we'll get everything. Okay, now the interesting part here is I just want to create the saving account, and I want to create a relationship between the saving account and the account. Okay, so see this first thing, I'm creating function called saving account. Okay, I just want to get some additional information, like I just want to get the name or whatever you want, you can just have it, but to make it simple, I'm just providing the saving account. Once again, I'm just saying this is account number. Okay, to make it short, I'm just saying A for account number, and B for bank, and T for type. Now after getting that, I just want to pass this to the base class. Okay, so this is where the call function will help us. I'm just going to say account dot call, pass the current instance, that is the context, then pass this A, B, and T. This is nothing but calling the base constructor, the super constructor, anything you can say. So whenever you create new saving account, in turn it's going to call the base constructor. Okay, so by this way all the properties are ensured, and along with that I can have my own property as well called command name, but anyway it's of no use. So yeah, we can have, if you want, this dot n ame equal to n. I'm just getting the name of the person who is holding this account. Okay, so everything is done. Then if you want to establish the relationship, this is important part. So saving account dot prototype equal to, okay, I have got all the you know how to get the behavior, okay, the properties. Now we are going to do it with object dot create called account. So what I'm trying to explain here is get all the behaviors as well. Get all the behaviors as well, that functions as well, and assign it to the prototype. And once again we can create some objects and we can make use of that. Okay, so I can just simply create this is done. Next is I'm creating saving account dot prototype dot get some more detail. Get some more details. There I'm just going to just print console.log this dot name, this dot, I'm just trying to access one that is this dot bank name simply. Okay, there's some problem. Okay, get some more details, it's actually a function. Enter. Done. So let me just show that this is what we have done. So I created a saving account class. It's having one extra property and I'm calling the base constructor. The remaining things I have passed it. Okay, and to this saving account I created one more. I just want to establish the prototypal chaining. So how to establish the prototypal chaining? It's very simple. Saving dot prototype equal to object dot create account. So all the behaviors, so from the account we have only one behavior called get details that will be available now here. Then to this saving account, once again I created another function called get some more details. Okay, now the saving account will get the account number, bank name, type from the base class and the get details from the base class. Along with that it has get some more details functions as well. So I'm just going to simply create the where saving object equal to new saving account. In the saving account it takes 3 arguments, that is account, bank, type, name. Okay, account is 1 2 3, then bank is SBI, then type is savings, then the name is Karthik. See the interesting part? Now saving obj dot I can access the methods called account number and all the stuff, and even I can access get some more details. It returns the account SBI. Have I hard coded it here? Okay, this dot name. This dot name, it is supposed to provide the name, right? Sorry, I think I made one small mistake here. That is, I haven't given account dot prototype. Sorry, account dot prototype. Yep. Save it. Let me just copy everything. Paste it. Enter. There is some mistake here. Okay, once again here I made a mistake. Get some more details is going to point to a function. Yes, copy, paste, enter. Everything done. Now I'm just creating a saving account. Okay, so saving obj dot, I can get the get details function, it returns that, and similarly I can get the saving obj dot get some more details, Karthik SPI. So this is all about the prototypal inheritance. Okay, I have shown that with inheriting the properties, here inheriting the methods in constructor function. Instead of inheriting, I can say it is extending. I can say extend the properties to another stuff. So this is what our JavaScript essentials. And guys, you all know JavaScript is it's a hot topic now. This is very important to understand any library or any framework you are learning in JavaScript. Okay, I tried my level best. I hope you all enjoyed my session. Thank you all. Signing off from Karthik.